Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something pretty profound, a sort of modern-day fable about hard work, the illusion of education, and really those invisible gaps that exist right in front of us every single day. Okay, let's dive into this because this story, it's going to fundamentally shift how you think about mentorship, privilege, and what it actually takes to succeed. Section 1, A Father's Pride. So I want to introduce you to a man named Shekhar. His hands are weathered from, well, a lifetime of literally relentless labor. He never studied beyond the third grade. Actually, to put that into perspective, from the tender age of 5, he was already in the workforce as a plastic collector. While most kids that age are, learning to read or just playing, he was out there learning to survive. His entire life has been nothing but sacrifice, which leads us right to his current job, collecting discarded household goods. But here's the thing. Despite a lifetime of incredibly severe hardship, Shekhar recently showed up at the author's house carrying a box of sweets, and he was absolutely thrilled. Why? Because he was there to proudly introduce his son, who had just recently become an arts graduate. It's huge, right? With a heart full of hope, Shekhar proudly asked for help finding his son a job. It's just this deeply heartwarming moment of a father seeing all his back-breaking sacrifices finally, seemingly, pay off. Section 2, The Harsh Reality. But as you look closer at this father and son duo, the picture isn't quite as picture-perfect as that celebratory box of sweets might suggest. And this brilliantly illustrates the jarring disconnect we're talking about here. On one side, we have Shekhar, dressed in a worn-out shirt, worn-out pants, and plastic flippers. On the flip side, we have the son, wearing smart jeans, a fresh t-shirt, and nice shoes. But honestly, it's not just the clothing. It's the physical space between them. The smartly dressed son just stood at a distance, totally aloof and detached. It is a stark, almost painful physical and emotional dichotomy that reveals this huge chasm between the two men. This brings us to a really heart-wrenching observation from the source text. The author notes, "I felt very bad for the hardworking man who could not make informed choices." See, because Shekhar only had a third-grade education, he entirely lacked the tools to actually evaluate his son's academic progress, or his character for that matter. He just went along with whatever his son told him, or whatever the tuition teacher said. His blind trust was born out of a systemic lack of exposure. He literally just didn't know what he didn't know. And the super frustrating reality here, that smartly dressed graduate son hadn't actually worked hard at all. Instead, he'd basically just created an illusion that he knew a lot. He made his father feel secure while taking total advantage of Shekhar's blind trust. It's tough to hear, but it serves as an incredibly powerful warning. A lack of foundational knowledge can leave even the hardest working people totally vulnerable to deception, sometimes by the people closest to them. Section 3, 4 Pillars of Success. Now, we can't just leave this story at that tragedy. If the son's path of illusion was the wrong way to go, what does the right path actually look like? So the crucial point is understanding exactly what a child really needs to internalize. The explainer outlines 4 vital steps. Step 1, choose the right direction with a clear, realistic target. Step 2, perseverance. You actually have to put in the hard work. Step 3, develop expertise. Don't just create a smokescreen of knowledge, build concrete, real skills. And step 4, avoid distractions. These aren't just suggestions, they are the absolutely non-negotiable traits required to build a genuinely successful life. But think about it. How exactly does a young person learn those 4 pillars? They certainly don't just magically appear out of thin air. They require what the text defines here as informed guidance. This is wisdom derived from interacting with people who can share diverse perspectives and thoughts. And crucially, those perspectives are driven by 3 very distinct factors: their own education, their exposure, and their expertise. Cultivating actual success means you need consistent exposure to mentors who possess this grounded, real-world experience. It's absolutely crucial. Section 4, the compass of guidance. So, what does this all mean for you and your everyday life? We've talked about Shekhar's immense labor. We've covered the pillars of success. Let's move to and see how this builds into a direct, really urgent call to action. In case you come across a Shekhar out in the world, actively guide them or guide their children so they can make informed choices. Look, we're surrounded every single day by people who possess incredible grit, but just lack the exposure to navigate our really complex world. Honestly, it's up to those of us who have benefited from education to actively bridge that gap. And that leads us right to our final thought. I want you to think about your own community, your workplace, maybe the people you pass on your daily commute. When you inevitably come across a Shekhar, someone working tirelessly but basically navigating in the dark, will you step up and guide them? Will you be the informed compass and the mentor that someone else desperately needs to find their true direction? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder that vital question.